I don't know what the big surprise is, because the Obamas and the Bidens brought in millions of unvetted Muslims. Unvetted, meaning, are they Sharia compliant or not? Because if they're Sharia compliant, it's a big problem. And that's not being bigoted. That's not being Islamophobic. That's just common sense. So what I saw in front of the White House was a lot more malicious. Well, how do I say this? Look, it was not that big a group. On January 6th, you had God knows how many hundreds of thousands of people. And there were a couple of hundred that involved, a few hundred that involved. They arrested 1,000 people just for being there. But there was a whole bunch of people, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. We might have had 50, 100, 150 FBI agents in Trump garb leading the charge. We don't know. But most of it was peaceful. Most of it, the vast majority of it was peaceful. I mean, even the people that were at the Capitol were peaceful because they were being let in. It was like they were being on a tour or something. Yeah, on one of the gates, in one of the sections, and some of the times you saw some breakage of things like that. But for the most part, it was very peaceful. Now, this demonstration that was in front of the White House, it wasn't nearly as big, but they were all extremely hostile and belligerent and screaming and nasty. This was not a peaceful demonstration by any stretch of the imagination. And if you want to talk about insurrection, we could go on ad infinitum about that.
Well, because, one of the big differences that I saw with just the little things that Nagy was telling me about this and what you just said as compared to the January 6th thing. First of all, as I've always said, if the most armed man in America and Bikers for Trump showed up to the insurrection, that'd have been a real insurrection. But with all that aside, one of the things that I have noticed, and finally, and I guess it's just because finally somebody with some common sense is starting to actually put some common sense out there. But I seen Cenk Uygur, of course, is running for president. He's running around all over the place. And one of the things that he said was he was on that Tim Cast guy on YouTube, the guy that wears the beanie on his head. And they were talking about insurrection and all these things. And Cenk was like, here's the deal. The guys that got let into the Capitol on January 6th, a lot of the people that got let in, he said there is footage from one of the cameras, not the one on where they're going in, where they're pulling the gates, but when they're at the door and they're going in. He said there is footage of pro-conservative police that are just high-fiving these guys as they're walking in and going, yeah, go get them. And it's like, here's the deal. If the cops are going to let these guys in and they're like, yeah, we don't like Joe Biden either. It's kind of it's sort of like the reverse of what happened. What was it in Seattle when they were burning down all the cars and everything? Right. Same thing there. The cops were like, yeah, get them. Get them. Black Lives Matter. Get them. And it's like, here's the deal. When you've got the cops who are supposed to be impartial and enforcing the law and going, screw that law thing. You got problems on both sides here. But we have got Roger Homefield with us today. Of course, the fantastic man about town, Roger Homefield. Forget about what you've heard. Forget about, as I've said on many occasions, Turbals and batting cages, Ferris and Jello fights. Roger Homefield is here making it happen. Joe Citizen himself. They made that Stan Lee created Wolverine years ago with the titanium antimatum claws or whatever. That's Roger Homefield. He's got those claws. He's ready to go. Something that I want to get your take on is this deal with, and it's all over the Drudge Report today, which who knows? Well, wait, before we get to that, I did not watch the debate because I don't care. Because if Trump's not there, I don't care. That ought to be a T-shirt. If Trump's there, I don't care. If Trump's not there, I don't care, kind of thing. In my opinion, they're all playing for second. They're all playing for who wants to be the VP. The only thing that I actually saw was I watched Salem News Channel, which is kind of interesting, and they had Mike Gallagher there, who was doing a remote radio thing, TV thing, and he interviewed Tim Scott. And Tim Scott, of course, is being very careful to not piss off Trump. He's being very careful not to piss off Trump. He's being very careful not to tick off the Trump fans. He's being very careful to also not tick off the conservatives and the MAGA, everybody involved. He wants to make sure that he is everybody's best friend, which I don't think is going to be a good strategy in the end. But that's the only thing I saw. What did you see? Did you even watch this debate? Did you even hear anything about this debate? Did anybody even care?
You see this little piece of paper here? I've got like a dozen of these things.
Yes.
I did not watch the debate because I consider it the least important of any of this stuff. Not to mention that it's also boring.
Yes.
And it's meaningless to me. So I apologize. I imagine you want me to watch it.
I didn't see it either, so that's good.
I can't.
That's two people out of and when the ratings come out later today, which they might already be out, I'm sure not a lot of people watch the debate. So
it's just it's a distraction from all the important things that are going on. It's just a complete distraction from that. Like Biden, in response to what happened in Israel, he comes out with he wants $1.8 billion for Islamophobia. Excuse me? The reason, in other words, I thought you were talking about anti-Semitism, but you're going to give billions for Islamophobia, which doesn't exist because Islamophobia is an irrational fear of Muslims. And I think when you have your babies murdered, I won't even get into the detail characterizing how in some cases. It's certainly not an irrational fear of Muslims. And once again, I mentioned this before, this is not about Palestinians. It's not about Palestine. This is about them wanting to use that as a spark to reignite jihad. And it's happening now. We were warning everybody 12, 14 years ago that we were becoming infiltrated by the Muslim Brotherhood. Everybody laughed at us. Okay, Pete King, we begged him to have a hearing. He had a hearing. The Democrats laughed at him. They scoffed at it. And right now, they're doing exactly what their playbook had in the Grand Jihad. And by the way, once they get up to about 10% of the population, that's when they literally flip the country over to becoming an Islamic State. You say, how can that be? How can that be? Look what they're doing with 2%. And when you get to 10% and you add violence, it's happening around the world. So for him to come out with that our problem is Islamophobia, you talk about burning two sides of the candle at once. The rise of anti-Semitism equals the rise of Muslims in America. I'm sorry to say it, that just happens to be it. It's like the elephant in the room nobody wants to say. I mean, you're looking at a crowd in New York with a bunch of Palestinian flags and Muslim garb, and just everybody said, where did the rise of anti-Semitism come from? They came with the people that you brought in, Obama and Biden.
Yep. Did
you ask them if they were Sharia compliant? Because if they're Sharia compliant, they cannot possibly be loyal to the United States of America. In fact, they're dictated to overthrow the United States of America if they're Sharia compliant.
That's right. That's what IQ Rizzoli's been saying for goddamn 10 years at this point.
He was right.
Just kind of how it all works. It is Roger Homefield. He's with us today here in our broadcast. And by the way, I just forwarded you an email. Apparently, late breaking news here. I was just talking about Robert Davi. Apparently, we have next, let me make sure I get this right. As they say in the movie Van Wilder, I should be writing this down. November 14th, Tuesday, I believe. I think it's a Tuesday. Yes, it is a Tuesday. At 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern, on this show, it will be Roger Homefield, myself, and Robert Davi. So there it is. Late breaking news to everybody out there in shoot land. Robert, of course, if you look at Robert Dobby, he's a fantastic musician, author, man about town, conservative, everything. Roger Homefield, the exact same thing. Me, I'm everything but a musician and a tough guy. So it all works.
Musicians used to be tough guys.
That's right. They used to be. They used to be. Musicians, pro wrestlers, they all used to be tough guys. And now a lot of these musicians and the pro wrestlers, they look like the guy that's cooking my eggs at the Waffle House. They're they're not
I don't
tough
want to get
guys.
canceled,
I've been canceled, brought back, canceled again, re-canceled, all the stuff. So, but Roger, before we let you go, what is the way people find your song parodies and your commentaries and everything you're doing?
I have no idea. That's one of my problems, Jiggy.
That's one of my problems. I ain't got a clue.
I never did anything for money. I just never did. But I'm going to have my jazz orchestra compositions, for whatever reason, on a website. But it's just going to be music. Then there'll have to be a political website. But how can they reach me? He was right all along at gmail.com. He was right all along at gmail.com. And the parodies, they're all up on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, I have a channel apparently. I'm not good with this stuff. I'm a novice. But go to YouTube, Roger Homefield. It's spelled just like sports, HOMEFI, just like home field advantage. And the Trump parodies are up there, and they stand today. And they will stand right up until the day of the election.
Well, it is always fun.
Well, we didn't get to talk about, Jiggy, and I know we can't start on something new. I'm very disappointed with the election, and I'm very disappointed with the women, frankly, in Virginia, or was it West Virginia, where the election was, and the main thing was abortion. With everything else going on in this country, with the country about to lose its sovereignty, we're losing our children, we've lost our entire freaking culture, and that's the only topic for them? Like 13 or 15 weeks isn't enough time? The Democrats always talked about the children. You do everything for the children. Everything is for Pelosi. The children. It's for the children. What the hell do they do for the children? They put masks on them. They confuse the hell out of them at 7 years old what gender they are. Maybe they should have their penises cut off. It's really good for the children, isn't it?
It's insane. The whole thing is just
It is
crazy. But Roger, I look forward to chatting with you next week. And I will get you an email and we'll get everything sorted out. And I will talk to you soon. Have yourself a blessed rest of your week, my friend. Thank you.
All I'm going to say more is that you are the only thing that makes me smile other than my Shih Tzu dog.
That is awesome. Well, Roger, thank you for doing this, baby. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jiggy.
Appreciate it. There he goes. That is fantastic, Roger Homefield. Man about town, Roger Homefield, as they say. I don't know why they're saying it. Don't know who they're saying it to, but they are saying it. And rock and roll it on a fabulous Thursday, as they say. So, that is that. We are going to take a brief break. When we come back, who the hell knows what